Book title: Simple Way to Happiness, Part 3, Collection of Inspirational Stories and Poems. We are richer today if we have loved, given and forgiven. May the simple way to happiness bring us closer to one another. This book has been published by Messrs. Paradise Packaging Private Limited, 201 Guru Prabha Apartments, Sundarnagar, Senapati Bapat Marg, Dadar West, Mumbai, 28. Telephone number 2433-4486. Fax number 2438-5201. Email paradise@paradisepackaging.net. Simple Way to Happiness. Collection of inspirational stories and poems from the internet, spiritual books and satsang. Inspirer and guiding force, Shri Haribhai Kothari. Number of pages 30. This book is recorded for the sole use of the blind at the NAB MP Shah All India Talking Book Centre, Worli, Mumbai. This book is read by Firdaus Aidenwala, recorded by Mr. H.D. Sood, and edited by Mr. Nicholas Robinson. NAB MP Shah All India Talking Book Centre is grateful to the author and to the publisher for granting permission to record the book free of cost for the sole use of the blind only. Dear reader, we create our own world by our own thoughts, and thus we make our own heaven and hell. Thoughts are food for the mind. A new good thought every day is a fresh food, and it will provide necessary nutrition to keep the mind healthy. These books will make us think. Sometimes they will stimulate laughter, and sometimes they will bring tears, but they will always inspire us. These books will help us to communicate better, enjoy life more, and achieve greater success with happiness. We shall appreciate your comments and suggestions. Book is the bouquet full of life. Page 1. A picture of peace. Once upon a time, there was a king who offered a prize to the artist who would paint the best picture of peace. Many artists tried. The king looked at all the pictures, but there were only two which he really liked, and he had to choose between them. One picture was of a calm lake. The lake was a perfect mirror, as it was surrounded by peaceful towering mountains. Overhead was a blue sky with fluffy white clouds. No noise, no trouble. It was a pleasure to see such a painting, which was a perfect picture of peace. The other picture had mountains too, but they were rugged and bare. Above was an angry sky from which rain fell with lightning. Down the side of the mountain tumbled a foaming waterfall. Behind the waterfall there was a tiny bush growing in a crack in the rock. In the bush a mother bird had built her nest. This did not look peaceful at all. Which picture do you think won the prize, and why? Let us check with the answers, only after we have tried to come up with our own answer. Answer is on page number 5. It is choice, not chance, that determines our destiny. God always gives His best to those who leave the choice to Him. No God, no peace. No God, no peace. The answer is the picture of peace. The king chose the second picture and explained that in the midst of rock and rainfall, Mother Bird was at peace in her nest. Peace does not mean to be in a place where there is no noise, no trouble, no hard work. Peace means to be in the midst of turbulence and still be calm. That is the real meaning of peace. Book 2. I repeat. Page 2. Prayer. A voyaging ship was wrecked during a storm at sea, and only 2 of the men on it were able to swim to a small deserted island. The 2 survivors, not knowing what to do, agreed that they had no alternative but to pray to God. However, to find out whose prayer was more powerful, they agreed to divide the territory between them and stayed on opposite sides of the island. The first man prayed for food. The next morning he saw a fruit-bearing tree on his side of the land and was able to eat its fruit. The other man's parcel of land remained barren. After a few days, the first man felt lonely and he decided to pray for a wife. The next day, another ship was wrecked and the only survivor was a woman who swam to his side of the island. On the other side of the island, the second man had nothing. Soon the first man prayed for a house, clothes, and more food. The next day, like magic, all of these were delivered to him. The second man, however, still had nothing. Finally, the first man prayed for a ship so that he and his wife could leave the island. In the morning, he found a ship docked at his side on the island. He boarded the ship with his wife and decided to leave the second man on the island. He considered the other man unworthy to receive God's blessing, since none of his prayers were answered. As the ship was about to leave, the first man heard a thundering voice from heaven. "Why are you leaving your friend on the island?" "My blessings are mine, since I was the one who prayed for them," the first man replied. "His prayers were all unanswered, and so he does not deserve anything." The voice rebuked him. "You are mistaken. He had only one prayer which I answered." "Tell me," the first man asked the voice, "what did he pray for that I should owe him anything?" "He prayed that, may all your prayers be answered." Moral of the story: our success may not be the fruit of our prayers alone. Many times we remain unaware of the fact that the prayers made by others and their blessings help us succeed. When we pray for others selflessly without any expectation, they are always answered. Page 3. Power of Holding Hands. On a summer day, 2 children, a boy and a girl, were playing in the sand on a beach. They were hard at work building an elaborate sand castle by the water edge with gates and towers and internal passages. Just when they had nearly finished their project, a big wave came along and knocked it down, reducing it to a heap of wet sand. It was expected that the kids would burst into tears, devastated by what had happened to all their hard work. But to everyone's surprise, instead they ran up to the shore, away from the water, laughing and holding hands, and sat down again to build another castle. They had taught everyone a very important lesson. We spend so much time and energy creating things all our lives which may suddenly be destroyed like the castle built on sand. But when difficulties come, only the person who has somebody's hand to hold will be able to laugh. Page 4. Keep courage. A wealthy man decided to go on an African safari. He took his fierce Alsatian dog along for company. As they were passing through the jungle, the dog suddenly started chasing butterflies, and before long he discovered that he was lost. As he wandered in the forest, he noticed a leopard heading rapidly in his direction with the obvious intention of having lunch. The dog thought, "Boy, I'm in deep trouble now." He noticed some bones on the ground close by and immediately settled down to chew on the bones with his back to the approaching leopard. Just as the leopard was about to leap, the dog exclaimed loudly, "Man, that was a delicious leopard. I wonder if there are any more around here." The leopard was about to pounce, but on hearing this, he traced back his steps in fright and disappeared in the woods. "Phew!" said the leopard, "that was close. That dog nearly had me." Meanwhile, a monkey, who was watching the whole scene from a nearby tree, figured he can put this knowledge to good use and trade it for protection from the leopard. So off he went, but the dog saw him heading after the leopard with great speed, and figured that the monkey was up to something. Caught up with the leopard, spilled the beans, and struck a deal for himself with the leopard. The leopard was furious at being made a fool of, and said, "Here, monkey, hop on my back and see what's going to happen to that cunning canine." Page 5. The story Keep Courage continued. The dog saw the leopard coming with the monkey on his back and thought, "What am I going to do now?" Instead of running away, the dog sat down with his back to his attackers, pretending he hadn't seen them. And as they got close enough to hear him, the dog said loudly, "Where's that monkey? I just can never trust him. I sent him off half an hour ago to bring me another leopard, and he's still not back." On hearing this, the leopard pounced on the monkey, killed him, and disappeared into the jungle. Moral of the story. 1. The person who spilled the beans is finally the loser. 2. Let us keep our cool and be balanced when we are in trouble, so that we can think properly and act intelligently. 3. It is the hour of trial that makes men great, and not the hour of triumph. 4. Nothing is over until the moment we stop trying. Let us take each moment, give it our best, and we shall emerge winners. Page 6. An Indian. An Indian walks into a bank in New York City and inquires for the loan facility counter. On meeting the officer, he tells him that he's going to India on a business trip for 2 weeks and needs to borrow $5,000. The bank officer tells him that the bank will need security for the loan. So the Indian hands over the keys of a new Ferrari parked on the street in front of the bank. He produces the title and everything is checked out. The loan officer agrees to accept the car as collateral for the loan. The bank's president and its officers all enjoy a good laugh at the Indian for using a $250,000 Ferrari as collateral against a $5,000 loan. An employee of the bank then drives the Ferrari into the bank's underground garage and parks it there. 2 weeks later, the Indian returns, repays the $5,000 and the interest, which comes to $35.41. The loan officer said, "Sir, we appreciate that you gave us an opportunity to serve you, and in future we will always be willing to do so. However, we are a little puzzled. While you were away, we checked and found that you were a millionaire. What puzzles us is, why would you bother to borrow $5,000? The Indian replies, "Where else in New York City can I park my car for 2 weeks, that too very safely, and only for $35.41, and still expect to get it back when I return?" Person who laughs last laughs the best.